All right, hello again. All right, so the meditation was not recorded. We had it live, so that's good. All right. So this kind of contemplation of the four elements is is part of contemplation of the body, and it's one of the method taught by the Buddha. It helps on many levels, and it helps on seeing the body as not me, not mine, and not myself, right? We have an idea of the body of others, but as soon as we go watch inside and be sensitive of the inside of the body, of the different currents, of the different let's say elements, then we see it for what it is. Okay, there are many ways to do so. For example, of course, if you take, I have something actually. All right, because yeah, I didn't plan that. It's just fortuitous, but I had yeah, those are, well, you can look at some X-rays, right? When we look at X-rays, we say, okay, of course we are made of bones and so on, but often we do not like looking at our own X-rays because we sense that there is something here that we do not want to see, right? Really. I'm paying very much attention to what I'm saying about this contemplation of the body, because it can be very scary and it can also trigger some strong emotion or even aversion or revulsion into the practitioner, into the meditator. All right. So this practice can be done, but should be done also carefully and with guidance. All right. But at some point we can also, yeah. I would say that if we manage, or when this kind of contemplation is done over and over again, it can be also quite a refuge. I mean, to realize what the body is, what the mind is. And how to say that, where the sense of personality, identity, sense of self is constructed. And in a sense that when this kind of contemplation is done over and over again, especially, so here I made you very sensitive to your skeleton, for example, your skeleton sitting. If you practice this over and over again, then actually you can have a quite fine mental image of your skeleton. It appears as a nimitta, it's called a sign. And even when you are moving, you can just actually see your skeleton moving. So when you are, for example, it can be very, hard to say that. Yeah, it can be a refuge, because when you are caught up in inner stories, inner narratives, worrying, problems, and so on, you sit with the skeleton. When you have the tendency to put some people into boxes and have perception of them, she's like this, she's like that, I don't like her because, and she has this temperament, and so on. When we also characterize other according to what we like and what we don't like about that person, we can also visualize that person has a sitting skeleton, right? Because this is what they are, finally, beyond, behind the skin, right? This is another kind of perception. And there is in the suttas, I don't have them because I'm improvising all of that. Okay, all of this talk is improvised. But in the Buddha's teachings, there are some suttas where it talks about monks who have developed this kind of skeleton meditation to the point where they see only that into people. So then they see skeleton walking. They don't see a man, they don't see a woman, they don't see a young man, they don't see an old man, they just see, okay, skeleton. And then it changes the perspective, right? Also, because we have very fixed ideas about people, right? But those are ideas, but we do not often realize that this is what they are. And maybe not, yeah. Because we had a certain experience with one people, so the mind likes to put things into boxes, and then so that it can kind of actually plan what kind of reaction you can have depending on the people you have in front of you. All right, but this kind of meditation can also triggers a strong disgust for the body. This is good in some point because at some point you have to realize what the body is. But one has also to pay attention to the psychological part of that and the consequences. If you have difficulty to live with yourself, or if you have suicidal thoughts, then of course one has to pay very much attention with that. Okay, and talk to someone about it. So contemplation of the body, not only the skeleton. The skeleton is really related in our Western society, to death. Okay, so we have this maybe unconscious perception of this. Okay, so pay attention with this kind of contemplation, but at the same, it's like contemplation on death. So it is very powerful. Because it's not only intellectual, you go within and you become sensitive to it by yourself. So there is a kind of, this is what we talk about, direct knowledge. Okay, you, even if it's not precise image, like an image that you could draw like an X-ray. But the more I can tell you that the more you do this kind of meditation, the more precise it becomes. Okay, so this is from the spiritual, the benefits for from the spiritual point of view. But it's also very, very useful when you do Qigong, for example, because you have to know the status more or less of your joints, how to open the joints, how to relax the muscles around, how to adjust the tendons, and how to activate the fascia inside. So if you already have this training in sitting meditation about, okay, how to sense the bones inside, where are they, and also the vertebra of the spine that you can then learn to move individually, for example, to expand your spine, then this kind of practice is quite, then you already know where to find what. Or for example, the rib cage here. Also, if you are sensitive to your bones and to your insides, then when you do exercises of breathing, then you know more or less where to activate, how to release the muscles around the rib cage in order to increase the breathing volume. And you can also feel if there is something which is out of alignment inside the body. So you start to know your body, and you start to know maybe how to adjust. How, when you start to be sensitive into the inside, the different kind of tissues, the different kind of bones. And for example, then if you're sensitive, for example, to the volume of the rib cage, then you can start to, even with inner attention, to look inside. And for example, this is also revealing, insightful to start being sensitive to the heart area, right? You start to feel your heart beating. All right, and there is another kind of insight that goes with it, is that it doesn't need you really to beat, right? What is making all of this work? This blood circulating and so on. And you can start also to feel, because you also become sensitive to this pumping rhythm, this cycle of liquids inside the body. Then you start to become sensitive to the energy at each heartbeat. Same with the breath, how the heartbeat is connected with the breath. By slowing down the breath, you slow down the heartbeat, and you slow down the entire system. You calm down the entire body. The mind will follow. How the in-breath actually brings energy, the out breath. relax the body, and so on and so on. So here is a description with my words, but your experience might be different. It doesn't need any words. It's all about your practice, your sensitivity, all right, about the body. But what does that, this kind of contemplation of the body also allows to put the mind at work, do something else, right? Far from the preoccupations of the world. Not that we want to cut ourselves from the worldly preoccupations, but if there is worry, if there is mind restlessness, if there is just chewing on memories, on something that happened to you in the past, if there is worry about future which doesn't exist yet, you can come back to the body sitting, and then observing what's inside. Because of course, when you have all this difficult mind state, you will try to soothe yourself with something else, maybe entertaining something, numbing your mind, looking outwards, a way to look elsewhere, let's say. All right, if it's skillful, wholesome, then you can do it. You can also go back to the body. It's always there, always available for free, and you can develop insight. What is matter? What is materiality? What is mind and what is matter? Develop mindfulness, awareness. Being sensitive to the breathing body. And then you can also use that as a tool for grounding, for bringing back the attention inward when you have to even interact in daily life. It's also interesting to because this is okay, there is this organic part that we sometimes identify with, and most often, I would say by default mode, we are born, and most automatically after a while, when we grow up, we are learned and taught how to identify with the body. And okay, it's also a good practice to see what goes into the body, what goes out. Okay, we say, okay, the breath, the breath. It's kind of airy, so no substance. So the breath, we do not have very strong perceptions, and or let's say ideas about the breath. Most of the time we are oblivious of it, so that's okay. I can watch the breath. But then if we start to look at the food that we put in the body, what is used what is used, actually the body is food, right? When we think about that, how disgusting it is, or how strange it can feel suddenly, Yeah, because we do not want to really identify with food. But the body is that mostly we drink and we eat, and it's transformed into stuff making that body, right? Then, so it's interesting to see what we put in the inside and what goes out. All right, feces. This is also something that we tend to discard. But yeah, it's the reality of the body. Chooses food, not all of it. And when with the waste are evacuated, right? This is a nice way to talk about it. But this body also needs to be fed several times a day and over again. And there is this recycling of food into body stuff and then waste. Liquid, same, goes in, goes out. Air goes in, goes out. There is exchange. And there will be exchange between body and the outside. Yeah. And then when there is this exchange, then we can also wonder, where does the outside start? Where does the inside start? From a kind of boundary. Okay, we can have this kind of reflection, contemplation. Okay, if I take all right. Okay, cup, liquid inside, tea, coffee, water. Okay, it's, look how the conceptual framework of that. Okay, it's a cup, and let's say that there is water in it. Okay, it looks very outside of me, but then I would start to drink it. If I am my body, then the water that seemed very like outside of me at one point, so I would start to drink it. So, and it will integrate the body. So at some point, will it become me? At which points will it become me? That means that the water that was in the river or from the rainfall, then at some point I put it in a cup, drink it, becomes me if my body is me, if I am my body, if I identify with the body. And then when there is urine, when you go to the toilet, it goes out into the toilet and you just flush. So your me is gone. Your me is gone. So it's it looks like, of course, it looks like obvious intellectually, right? But you have to reflect and contemplate that until it becomes an insight, like until that there is no doubt about it. That anything that is compounded, that's composing your body, cannot be you, right? Otherwise, the urine that you flush into the toilets, what is it? A part of you going away. We should keep it in a bowl or something. It's precious, right? It's precious. I'm joking, but this is everything that seems very defined in terms of solidity, in terms of boundaries. And usually it happens, this kind of of solidity, fixed boundaries. I am this, I look like that, and so on. This is when the mind is constricted. This is when the mind is constricted. It's start to be, let's say, tight around something. And usually this is something you want to get, something you want to keep, or something you want to push away. It's also the push-pull effect again. Or because also, of course, there is when there is ignorance, when we do not realize how, when you do not clearly see the I-making process, the mind-making process. Where does this originate from when we do not see that? Where the suffering comes from? Mind wants, desire, gets agitated. And usually, me and the others, this boundary seems very clear, very obvious. There is no sharing, no exchange. And all perception starts to be, again, shaping around this separation. And when it happens, usually the suffering is very strong. And then it's useful. Come back to the body, contemplation on the body, what I put in, what goes out, what's inside, the reality of the stuff, right? The reality that the body will break up at some point, will age and die, get sick. Then we are not surprised when it happens. And it helps to really see what is mind and what is matter. And also in the Buddha's teaching, there is contemplation on food. There is this contemplation. He invites us to look at what you put into your mouth, into the body. How banana would be transformed into what? Into Muriel. So I'm a banana, a transformed banana. Am I a mix of, okay, a bit of tea, a bit of what? What was in my breakfast? A bit of eggs. Is it me? So when we do this kind of contemplation on food, contemplation of the parts of the body, and you start to feel inside and look at the exchange, you will realize that all the conceptions that you can have actually cannot be the reality. So at some point you will also start to stop conceiving. When the bone starts, bone is a conception, tissue is a conception. There, when you look directly inside, you can feel and see that also, you cannot really define where the bone starts, when the bone marrow starts, when the muscle starts, when the sinew starts. So when you go deeper and deeper into those kind of exchange, or looking at clearly the boundaries of something, you cannot really find them. So there is a kind of dissolution of every element you conceived at the beginning. You can also go from the macroscopic level, I mean like the liver, and then you start to feel what is inside the liver and the liquid, and then you can also go down and down to a more microscopic level and start to even feel the small part inside the liver until, I don't know, the cell of the body. And even the cells of the body, they actually interact between each other. There are also some tiny parts inside the cell of the body and so on. So there is also this macroscopic level of perception of the body parts, and you go down, down, down to the microscopic level and see more and more exchange inside the body, become more and more sensitive. You can zoom in, zoom out. It's possible to do that. All right, that was today's teaching. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any question, please feel free to unmute and to ask. Feel free to leave if you have to, or to stay silent. So, for example, if you want to change something about your body, or you're dissatisfied with your appearance, then okay, you can also go into the body and say, okay, there's the bone doesn't like itself. Who doesn't like? What doesn't like the appearance, the overall appearance of the skin? Is the skin is dissatisfied by itself? Is it the skin telling you, I'm not happy about all of those wrinkles on my face, right? What's the origin? Where is the origin of this unsatisfaction?